What's up, everybody? Welcome to Draft Chaff. This is episode number 138. My name is Zach. I'm one of your hosts, and joining me, as per usual, Ben Fisher. What's up, dude?
Not too much. It's been a great format, but oh man, you should have told me you had a bit. I was doing a bit. We can't have 2 bits for the intro.
No, I like 2 bits. At least we don't have 8 bits. That's fine.
Oh man, now we got a 3rd bit in the mix. See, I was going to do a bit about how everyone's already sick of the format, everyone hates it or something like that, but I don't know. Your bit was better. I like the cool guy intro.
Gotta throw in the cool guy podcast intro.
Yeah.
This week we're doing our live draft though, so buckle your seats, get ready for that. Before we jump into that, of course, our usual housekeeping. If you're not already in the Discord, check that out. It's the best place to be to chat with us, chat with the Chaff community, and discuss picks, especially at the beginning of a format like this. It's always a hopping place to be. Plus, we upgraded the Discord a little bit last week, added a scoreboard to our Trophy Decks channel. So if you want to get in there and flaunt all the trophies that you're inevitably going to draft, now's the time to get in there.
Yes, I will, actually.
Of course you will. You always do.
I'm very
Now
excited.
we actually just will have a record of it. The link to that is in the episode description as well as on our Twitter page. And if you'd like to support the show directly, you can do so on Patreon at patreon.com/draftchaffpod. Huge thanks to all of our patrons who continue to support us each and every week. We love you guys. Thank you so much. Perks over there on the Patreon include things like our Draft Doctor series, stickers, show notes, our pre-show recordings, and our Draft Chaff hero cards signed by us and sent right to you. Also, feel free to jump in the Discord and make your guesses as to what the Draft Chaff hero might be this format. But again, you can check that out at patreon.com/draftchaffpod.
Our pre-show this week was pretty good. We waxed poetic for a good amount of time about the Thrun issue and the Eternal Wanderer issue. So, or whether or not those are actually issues at all. If you're interested in our hottest takes on these rares that people are rolling their eyes at, here's a hint. I think everyone's just nuts. I think we're all just overreacting.
All right, on to our Cracker Drive type thing, which we're actually going to skip this week because live draft. So that brings us to our Teferi Tibalt. This is our Roses and Thorns style segment where Ben and I share a high and a low from the past week. So Ben, I think for the most part we have the same Teferi, but why don't you kick us off?
Well, I think some of the highlights we were both present for, right? So we can start in chronological order. We played the Draft Chaff Cube over the weekend. We got a bunch of people together. Actually, Ben from the past, I understand you're there at the live draft right now.
Yeah, that's right. We're actually here at the first ever Draft Chaff Cube. Everyone say hi.
Hi.
Yeah, it's going to suck. Back to you.
Well, actually, it didn't suck at all. It was really good. We got feedback from everyone that was there. And just honestly, being there, it was pretty clear. All the hours that Zach and I have spent building the Draft Chaff Cube paid off. It was fantastic. It was as great as I possibly could have imagined it going. People had fun. There were some great games. And I think the things that I'm most proud of are the decks that came in first and second place.
Yeah, I was thrilled. Blue-Red Free Casting, shout out to Ratafia for being the first person ever trophy the Draft Chaff Cube. Blue-Red Free Casting worked, and that's kind of my brainchild. And so I'm really thrilled to see that, just really doing well. It was one that I think is probably the hardest deck to actually draft in the format. At least in my practice drafts, I've kind of found it to be that way. But then what came in second?
Oh, my favorite deck in the format. Not that I have a favorite; they're all my favorites. But one of my specialties: green-white twin, green-white infinite combos. And yes, there were infinites witnessed that night, several in fact, and many achievements gotten too. Shout out to my friend Matt for winning a pack of MH2 for getting the most achievements. That was pretty sick. People, there were butts mirror matches and all sorts of nonsense. I was playing green-blue Flash for some reason, but it was a really sick time. Can't wait to do it again. Anyway, another highlight from the weekend was, we did a 2-headed giant pre-release, which is kind of our specialty, kind of our thing. And, we're going to lose one of these eventually, but it wasn't this weekend.
Nope. And in fact, it's been a long time since we've done one, so it was really nice to get to do that again. But we 3-0'd and we had just bonkers decks. I mean, we had Kaito and Jace, and I was playing a blue-black proliferate deck, and that's really all it cared about was turning through the deck. I actually ended up being able to stabilize on board more than I kind of expected it to when I was building it, but that's what I ended up in. Ben was looking to play green-white, and, well, just ended up playing mono-white, so, that works.
Yeah, pretty on brand for us. Honestly, I think your deck was the better of the two of ours. I think it actually performed better. mostly because in one of those games I got mana screwed and my deck didn't really get to do what it was supposed to. But I think that your deck had a lot of wheels turning and a lot of consistency that mine didn't have. I mean, it's mono white. Like, what's it really supposed to do besides curve out with some bombs? But turns out curving out with some bombs is pretty good in sealed.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that depends on the bomb.
Yeah, well, I actually didn't see two of the bombs in my deck. I had the White Sun Zenith, and I haven't seen Skrelv's Hive. I didn't draw either of them ever, like not in a single one of the 3 games. I never had them in my hand. So Skrelv's Hive and White Sun Zenith, I guess we'll find out later on if those are as bomby as I think they probably are. But the Vindicator, Phyrexian Vindicator, and the Eternal Wanderer, they did some work.
Sure did. Good time. So, I mean, that kind of covers both of our Teferis. What was your Tibalt?
It's a tough time to be a teacher. You know, a lot of my teaching friends have been kind of getting together and talking about different ways that they could potentially pivot careers. And a lot of people that I know and like friends that I made in the profession are talking about leaving the profession because it's kind of rough out here. I'm starting to think there might not be a really mentally and physically healthy way to be a great teacher. I know there's probably ways out there, but other teachers that are listening, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It's rough to be really good. And there's costs, right? So I don't know. Even us who are all younger teachers, and we know we have a lot to learn still, and a lot of growing to do, and like a lot of improving at our craft. Sometimes we're starting to wonder, like, is it even worth like putting in all this effort when the payback is kind of nothing? And unfortunately, in the case of a lot of my friends, really entitled and obnoxious students. Not me. Mine are great. If you're listening, I'm not talking about you.
My Tibalt is mostly just that I'm kind of skeptical about one, to be honest with you. From what we've been seeing in the Discord today, and we're recording on release day, right? So still plenty of learning to do with the format and plenty to see. But the things that I'm hearing both between pre-release, of course, not our pre-release experience, but pre-release in general and the first handful of drafts that I've seen come through are making me a little nervous about how much I'm going to enjoy this format. But we'll see. And the reason I'm like mostly sad about that is because a lot of the premier like play events are limited this season. So we've got a sealed arena open. We've got a sealed qualifier. We've got like the PTQ's got draft in it. Mm-hmm. Or not the PTQ, but the PT itself. They're just like some really high stakes limited events this season. And if the format sucks, then it's kind of all for nothing.
But hear me out. There are some really high stakes limit events this season, right? Like we still have the arena open. We have the upcoming MagicCon Philly, which I'm personally pretty pumped for. That's really soon. That's in a couple weeks. And the PT, like the limited is back at high level and competitive, right? Like, I don't know if anyone heard about this, but I kind of won an arena open recently. And arena opens are...
I don't think I've ever rolled my eyes more than I just did. Oh my gosh.
No, but my point here stands, right? It's that like there is great limited to be played right now. Whereas a few years ago, like during the pandemic, people were saying limited was like about to die. And formats were just not going to happen anymore, especially when we saw set boosters coming in and collector boosters. People were thinking, all right, they're just going to stop making draft boosters, aren't they? But it's looking like the opposite of that. I mean, we're going to have some high level limited stuff, and the arena opens must be getting great turnout because they keep running them, right? And I guess keep running them at limited.
Yeah, I guess what I'm nervous about, just because of WotC's track record over the last handful of years, is that if the set's not good, right? If people don't enjoy drafting one, then the numbers on those events are probably going to drop just because people aren't interested in the format. And I'm nervous that WotC would see numbers drop and be like, well, I guess people don't care about limited anymore, and do that kind of thing. Because I wouldn't put it past them to do something like that, or maybe not WotC, but Hasbro, above WotC.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe that's like doomsday-ish thinking, but I don't know. Yeah, it's just kind of annoying. It's a little frustrating to me to see all the limited events around a set that I'm nervous about being good. It may just turn out to be good, and all my fears are not founded. But
yeah, that's valid. Why don't we actually just fire a draft and then start getting some experience for ourselves?
Yeah, we're almost there. We do have one last segment before we get to the live draft, and that is our listener question of the week. And this week, our question comes from Kululu, asking, do your spouses/partners play Magic, and did they ever complain about you playing too much?
This is appropriate given that this, I think, is our closest episode releasing to Valentine's Day this year. I'm thinking through like a history of partners. None of them really were super into it. Some of them will like hang out while I play on Arena, or just try to learn or pick up a game or two here or there. My current partner, my girlfriend, she's explicitly said that she's interested in learning to play at some point. But it's hard to find time for all that. Usually when you're like hanging out, you'd rather just go on some kind of date or something. But I was with her at the time that I won the Arena Open. And I told her as I was competing in it, because I actually played part of it at her apartment. And I told her that as I was competing in it, I was like, look, I made day 2 for this big thing. This is a tiny, slim chance. But if I cash this Arena Open, I'm taking you out to a fancy restaurant. And she was like, all right, I'm all in. I'm all for it. Do your best. Let's go. And we ended up going to a pretty sweet Cuban place in Jersey City. So it was a good time. So honestly, her take on it is that as long as I'm good enough to keep winning money, to keep taking me out on cool dates, then
more power to you. Yeah, I guess so. That's a team sport right there.
Yeah, no complaining about that.
Fair enough. So next time you don't cash an Arena Open, it's like it's over. You can't.
Well, I'm just not going to tell her about that tournament.
I currently don't have a partner, but in the past, my ex did mentioned that she wanted to play at times, but then every time I tried to teach her about it, it was like not something that she was really into. So, not a ton of interest there. Definitely got some complaints about playing too much. All right, let's get on to a live draft here.
So we're going to do a premier draft. Figure, it's day 1. May as well start off with classic best of 1. Although, to be honest, I've been thinking maybe best of 3 would be better, especially if there's some of these rares that people, oh, wow, it filled up immediately. All right, let's go. First rare, we've got Norin's Wellspring, a rare we opened in our pre-release packs that we weren't super interested in. That's the one in the white artifact. Whenever a creature you control dies, scry 1, put an oil counter on it. You can pay 1, tap, remove 2 oil counters to draw a card. There's also Magmatic Sprinter, the 3-mana 3/2 haste that we were impressed with. There's the Battle Chair, the 6-mana 6/6 for Mirrodin. There's Ribskiff, 4-mana 4/4 crew 3 toxic 2 ETB, draw a card. Pretty nice actually, but let's scan through the pack if there's anything else. There's a Hazardous Blast, deals 1 everything. Those effects are usually fun in aggro decks. There's Chimney Rabble, the 4-mana 3/3 ETB, make a 1/1 that we were pretty happy with. I've heard Eye of Malcator is pretty solid. What are we on? I don't know if I like this rare.
No, I don't think I want the rare either. The Basilisk seems okay to me too. The Acre-Spit Basilisk. But I think Chimney Rabble's probably the pick. Ribskiff looks really good, but the Crew 3 is expensive.
Yeah, but ETB, draw a card, right? It's also colorless, and as a first pick, I think that's pretty solid, right?
That's true. It does give you something to do with mites that get outclassed later in the game too.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Ribskiff. Just see what happens. We get past and against the all odds. That's the Flicker / Weird Little Reanimate. There's a Serum Core Chimera here. There's also a Slaughter Singer. Ooh. Okay, so 3 solid uncommons. Out of all these, I think the Slaughter Singer pairs best with the Ribskiff. Because, all in on Toxic. There's a White Fair Basilica in this pack. We've got Furnace Strider. That's the 5-mana 4/5.
Furnace Strider actually looks really good. I think people are low on Furnace Strider right now, but I think the pick's just Slaughter Singer here. As sad as it is to me to pass the Serum Core Chimera.
Yeah, there's some other open stuff in this. There's like Prophetic Prism. I don't know. I think just this early, it might be kind of fun to just get a solid green-white deck and just kind of go beat down. So we get past a Necrogen Communion. That's one of the black aura. Equip a creature you control, or enchant a creature you control. It gets Toxic 2, and when it dies, return that card to the battlefield under your control. That's pretty good. There's also a Hexgold Halberd and a Bladehold War Whip for the Mirrodin and stuff. This is a Complete Devotion. That's the white pump spell that's better with toxic stuff. It lets you draw a card. And then a bunch of junky commons. There's a Pestilent Siphoner. There's also an Acre-Spit Basilisk, but man, these uncommons are looking pretty good, right? The red and the white-red ones.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm all in on the white-red deck in the first place. I probably would just take the Acre-Spit Basilisk. It goes the best with what we've got already, and there aren't a whole lot of white and green cards in this pack that we want, so that's something I'm nervous about. Maybe taking the red-white stuff is probably better, but I don't really like the Mirrodin Vector. And I need to see somebody make that work before I am comfortable with it.
I did let it expire on the Mirrodin Bladehold War Whip, and here's my reasoning. If the Vector is open, which I think other people might be low on it, you could get a pretty solid deck. Like, this is a 3-mana 2/2 double strike. Like, that's really good, no matter what the format is. Now, in our next pack, there's an Oxidative Finisher. That's the 7 mana 7/5 affinity for equipment. Kind of silly. Expand the Sphere is another uncommon. That doesn't seem great. There's an Incisor Glider here. I like this one. 2 mana 1/3 flyer. And if your opponent is corrupted, when it attacks, your stuff gets +1/+1 until end of turn. But that's just a really good rate, right?
Yeah, that seems fine.
There's also
nothing
Titanic
else.
Growth.
There's
There's
an
an Annihilating
Glare is
Glare.
nice.
But it's the only black card in the pack and the only one we've really seen. I think I'm on the Glider here. How about you?
I agree. I think Glider's the pick. There's an Oil Gorger Troll in that pack too, but not really something that we want in the white-green decks.
Mm-hmm.
And the next pack we're opening, there's Necrogen Communion, another one of those, a Necro Titan, which is solid in those corrupted decks. Like if you can actually get that on 4 and have your opponent corrupted, you're doing the thing.
Mm-hmm. There's some more of this for Mirrodin stuff. A few Mirrodin Bardishes going around. There's a Shrapnel Slinger. This one seems pretty solid. Just a little 2-drop, 2 mana 2/2. When it ETBs, you can sack a creature. When you do, destroy target artifact an opponent controls. There's also a Terramorphic Expanse, though. I feel like the Slinger or the Terramorphic Expanse are probably the picks here, right? I'm kind of on the Expanse. It's a bit of a messy draft so far. The Expanse just kind of hedges our bets, right?
Yeah, I like the Expanse here. These packs have all felt weird. I think we're supposed to be in black here, but I don't know when we were supposed to get into it.
How about
now? We just got past the Necrogen Rot Priest, so now we just slam that, and we're solidly looking at green-black, I think.
Could this be an Abzan Toxic deck? I'm
Could
sure
be.
that vector is very clear. We see Toxic in both black, green, and white. And the Necrogen Rot Priest is just sick. And this means we have one of each of the uncommons. Maybe with a kind of white, maybe like a splash for white. I don't know. Or we could figure this out. But the Rot Priest is there. There's another Incisor Glider. There's a Sinew Dancer. Green and white both seem to be coming. There's a Predation Steward and Thirsting Roots, which I guess we could use for more fixing. Maybe try to wheel the roots. But Necrogen Rot Priest, the fact that 5 people looked at this card and said no thanks, we got to slam the Rot Priest here.
This said, I think we do have to be careful about thinking through pack 2, because pack 2, we're not likely to see a ton of black. We've passed so much black to our left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. So we've got a Paladin of Predation here. Can I just do a 7 mana 6/7 Toxic 6? Like this does just kill them, right?
Yeah, but I don't think you ever get to 7 mana in this format.
Probably not. Another kind of hedge here would be take a Thirsting Roots. There's also a Maze Skull Bomb, which pumps something 3/3 until end of turn. I don't know. I think the Roots might just be a pick here. We could come up with some kind of lean Abzan machine.
Yeah, I don't hate the Roots. We're probably going to get one back. We've already seen 2 of them, but...
So next up, we've got a bunch of comments here. We've got Duress, Bonepicker Scourge, Whispers of the Dross. Oh, wow. This seems really late for this, right?
I think so. I'm not sure where to evaluate that card, but it's definitely better than where we're seeing it here. I think that's a fine pickup.
Yep. Not seeing a lot in our colors here. We've got 6 cards in the pack, and only one of them isn't blue or red. So it's a Sylvic Battle Chair. It's the 6 mana for Mirrodin. I don't know. Maybe we'll want the top end like this. It's really the only thing that we could think to play. I don't know. Maybe the Shrapnel Slinger, just in case we end up pivoting back into red.
Yeah, I don't see a world where we ever actually play the Battle Chair, so taking something that we may play if we pivot to a different color is probably better.
Mm. Maybe we wind up with like a huge bomb rare in red. Like maybe we open the red Dominus or something, or maybe the red-green Planeswalker. Not a lot of great stuff in this pack either. There's another Bardiche, Furnace Strider.
I think I would be on the Furnace Strider here.
Yeah, just a top-end thing, just in case we open like a big red. Here's some stuff. We got a Complete Devotion that wheeled. As well as Thrill of Possibility, Orthodoxy Enforcer, Gold Warren's Helm. Let's just take the Complete Devotion. If we wind up with a complete deck, well, I guess we'll hope for a complete deck no matter what. But if we wind up with a Toxic deck, we'll want some pump spells to go along with our early drops if we can pick them up. Some junk in these last ones. An Oil Gorger Troll is going to be our pickup here. We're going to grab a Maze's Mantle over a Lattice. I guess I'll take the Lattice Blade Mantis. It's a green card that we can play. And a Predation Steward came around. It's a 2-drop. That's a reasonable rate.
Of course.
Yeah, okay. So we opened Jor Kadeen, first Gold Warden. Red-white for a 2/2 trample, and then has a bunch of stuff to do with equipment. Man, dude, we got the Bladehold War Whip.
We're so far from that. I don't think we're actually playing white-red.
Yeah, we probably are. There's a Vat of Rebirth here. That seems pretty slow. There's a
Necrosquito's good.
Yeah, this could be something. This one will look to be proliferating, oil countering things up. There's also a Contagious Vorak. This card's awesome.
Yeah. I would probably take the Vorak here, if not for the Necrosquito. I think that's close. We don't have a ton of Proliferate yet, but there is a lot of it in black and green.
I think I like the Vorak here, just as like a curve consideration. We only have the 1/3 drop, and we're probably not playing it. It's the War Whip.
Yeah, I suppose that's fair. Yeah.
Plus, this helps fix our mana a little bit. We might have a messy Abzan deck on our hands. So we're past the Mercurial Spell Dancer. The person to our left is not in blue. Interesting. So we might be about to get cut.
Yeah, I think we're getting cut from both directions, to be honest with you. But there's a lot of good red in this pack. I see the Volt Charge. There's a Hexgold Slash.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're not really in those colors.
Man, maybe we should have just gone deep on equipment here. So in our colors, which we're looking to play green, white. I don't know. We got an Apostle of Evasion here. That's a 6-mana 4/4 flyer. As long as they're corrupted, we have double. This thing has double strike. That's a really big flyer, right?
Yeah, I still don't know if 6 mana is really where you get in this format. Mm-hmm. There's also the Swooping Lookout, which is like a 1 mana 1/2 flying vigilance, which is like fine, I guess. I'm not super excited about it, but
there's a slow bad here. There is a Cinder / Ravager in this pack. That's the 6 mana 5/5. It's the Vector Uncommon for green red.
Does that facilitate a split into red green? Then we're seeing a bunch of good red removal go by, but I feel like it's too late to make that kind of change.
Yeah, we're playing Jund.
Well, there is a Basilisk here. I think I like the Basilisk.
There's also a Volt Charge, dude. We don't really have any removal. If we're going to get hooked up with red this pack, I don't think we can really... And we saw it coming last pack, too. Red was pretty solidly open. Slowbad's really off Vector. It's like big artifact sack stuff. I think we got to take this Volt Charge.
Maybe, yeah. It's really weird because we don't actually know what our primary color is right now. It feels like it's supposed to be green, but in terms of number of cards we have, I don't actually think we know what it is.
Yeah, we're looking somewhere in like the Jund, somewhere the non-blue something. We're not seeing these early toxic creatures that we would want for this type of a deck to really come together. Something
There's
like
Trawler
the
Dragon
Singer
pack.
There is, yeah.
Nice.
This would be our first blue card, though.
No. I'm not saying to take it. I'm just saying that's a potential signal.
So there's a Furnace Strider. Honestly, just Hunter Maze. I do think we'll end up playing green. We got the Vorak. We've got the Predation Steer. We've got Thirsting Roots. I think this is going to be a kind of just value green deck. So we've got Resistance Reunited. Man, there is equipment stuff going on. Maybe that Jorkadeen. I don't know. Maybe that's ridiculous.
I just don't like that Vector.
So there's a Furnace Skull Bomb. There's a Maze's Mantle. Doesn't look great. Maybe this is just like big red-green beaters. Furnace Skull Bomb to put some oil on stuff. Do we really have a lot that cares about that yet? Not really. Maybe the Lattice.
I guess we don't really care about the Mandible Justicar just this year.
Yeah, I don't think we care about any of this stuff. I think I'm just going to grab the Skull Bomb. It cycles itself, like
a
bit of a messy draft so far. Ooh, there's a Rebel Salvo. Oh, we got to take this. This thing is a 3 mana deal 5, and that thing loses indestructible until end of turn. There's also a
there's also a Vorak.
We're led on removal, dude. This is looking like red-green is where we might be supposed to be.
Yeah,
I think I'm just going to slam the Salvo. Another Expand the Spheres, not interested. Another Rib Skiff. Nah. There's a Sawblade Scamp. There's also a Tyrannix Atrocity, which I think this could be pretty cool. 4/4 haste, toxic 3.
Yeah, I think it's pretty solid. I mean, if we're going down the route where we're playing one of these uncommons we've got, then it's going to be phenomenal. But or the Rib Skiff is also pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we're a bit of a mess, right? Maybe we just want like a top end that draws us a card, stabilizes the board a little bit. Take the Rib Skip, see what happens. Maybe
we don't have a whole lot that cruise it yet, but
yeah. Let's see here. We've got a Molten Rebuke. That's the 5 mana deal 5 or destroy an equipment. There's Carnivorous Canopy, which is the like broken wings of the set. It does also proliferate if the thing was small. There's an Unnatural Restoration here. Gets back a permanent.
So the Canopy is actually better in this format than most because it hits artifacts and there are a lot of artifact creatures, but we ended up taking the Molten Rebuke.
Yeah, I actually was trying to click on that Canopy, but this is best of one, so, I guess we're going to be citing it anyway. 6 cards left in the pack. There's a Thriller possibility here. I don't know. I'm feeling like leaning into red-green, but at this point, there's also Prophetic Prism. Maybe that's just like a safe early play.
Yeah, this draft feels so messy.
Yeah, this is not our finest work, I guess. Oh, there's a Blazing Crescendo here. I like attacking and I like pump spells, and I like pump spells that draw me a card.
We have like no. I guess unless we're gonna end up in red white after all that dirtling, we did wield the Cinder Slash Ravager, so maybe we just do end up in red green.
Yeah, that's 4 cards left in the pack with a Vector uncommon here.
Pretty light on 2-drops though. Just something to keep in mind.
We're going to have to look for ones that put oil on themselves because we have this Oil Gorger Troll. We have these Rib Skiffs. All right, we'll take a Furnace Strider that puts oil on itself. It's time to oil up, dude. We got to just start finding anything and everything that puts oil on itself. And as if to taunt me, we open a Kemba Ka Enduring, another equipment card that we will not be taking here. Let's see.
I guess we should have been in the equipment deck. I just don't think that deck's good.
Yeah. I think honestly we might end up splashing white in this deck. We got the Expanse. We have some solid white stuff. I don't know. Maybe not. There's a Tainted
Observer.
Actually be a
red splash.
There's an Against All Odds. There's an Ambulatory Edifice. None of these are looking quite like what we're trying to do. Just kind of an unfortunate open for
Chimney Rabble's good.
Yeah, there is Chimney Rabble. The one half of it crews the Rib Skiffs pretty nicely.
We're pretty heavy on 4-drops already, but then in white we've got Charge of the Mites and the Planar Disruption. So
maybe we're just supposed to like take and splash Planar Disruption, dude. Like it's just so good. We get past Rhea Evor. What is happening? And a Charforger. All right. I don't really know I don't really know what's going on. I guess the person to our right is in blue. Like I don't.
Do we take
Rhea
Cultivator
Evor
here?
It's really strong.
Do we take Cultivator here? Ooh, there's a Drowning in this pack too. Oh man.
Yeah.
Cultivator really puts the oil on itself. It does ramp too. It doesn't really ramp until turn 4, but
yeah, Rustvine Cultivator might be the thing we're trying to do here, unless we just go true meme and try to just slam Rhea Evor and splash her.
But we won't have a deck though.
I'll make it work. We could also just take another Planar Disruption and splash it. All right.
I think the Cultivator is probably a disciplined pick here.
Yeah, I agree. We got a Zenith Chronicler. Whenever a player casts their first multicolored spell each turn, each other player draws a card. Generic 2-mana 3/1. There's also another Oil Gorger Troll. There's a Titanic Growth. Furnace Punisher. Oh, this is just a solid 3-mana 3/3 menace. Probably should just take this, right?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot else competing for it in this pack. Whispers of the Dross, another Vraska's Fall, Surgical Bay, not a whole lot else we're too interested in.
All right, we're stabilizing. There's a Contagious Vorak here. There's a Sawblade Scamp, but I think we could wheel something like that. We're still looking for some good 2-drops. Not seeing any yet. But we do have things to do on 2. The Prophetic Prism. I think I'm liking the Vorak here, right? This is just red-green mid-range at this point. Maybe not the most exciting thing for our first draft. No, like, awesome mythic chasers.
There's an exciting card for this deck.
Yeah, Evolving Adaptive. I'm a big fan of this one. Pairs really well with our double Voraks, and it puts counters on itself. It's oiled up for the Cinder Slash Ravager. I wish we could take like 3 of these, and then I think I'd be pretty happy with the deck. Let's take the Adaptive.
Yeah, here's my thought with this format, though. We just got past another Cinder Slash Ravager, which is a good sign, too. And there's another Vorak in this pack, which is sad to have to take one over the other. But the thing that I'm worried about is I feel like this is a format where if you don't do something actionable on the board on turn 2, you are just way behind. And we don't really have any 2-drops, so that's making me a little nervous.
I think we're going to wheel either the Predation Steward or the Vorak. I'd like to take the Cinder Slash Ravager here. I think our deck is a little low on power. And like a 4-mana 5/5, like ETB, ping everything, could actually up our power a bit. We've got some lower drops.
Pretty well.
Yeah, we got a Ruthless Predation here. It's the green fight spell. This is how you kill Thrun in the format, if anyone was wondering.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to take that as Thrun insurance.
Sure.
Some more lower drops. There's an Incubation Sac. There's an Adaptive Spore Singer, a Plague Nurse. Wow, green is pretty open. There's another Ruthless Predation, though. I think we might just have to slam that.
The Incubation Sac is pretty good, too.
Yeah, I feel like it might just be a little slow, though. We're really well set on 4 drops.
We do have a lot of 4 drops, yeah.
Arena wants me to take the Predation, so I think I will. We're back to our wheel pack. Might be just the Chimney Rabble here. We've got the Tainted Observer and the Against All Odds back.
I like the Rabble because, again, even if those 1/1s just don't affect the board, they crew the skiffs, so that gets us at least some value out of them.
Starting to get down to the dredges of things here. Take a Charforger, maybe, in case I end up playing Jund. Wheel of Titanic Growth and Oil Gorger Troll. We're pretty good on high drops. I think I'll take the Growth just as like a just to have a pump spell. 3 cards left. Reject Imperfection, Complete Devotion. I'll take a Maze's Mantle. Guess we're not going to wheel. Oh, we got the Maze Skull Bomb. That's something to cycle in early turns.
Sure.
And we did wheel the Predation Steward just as called. So that's actually 2 on color 2 drops that we wheeled, getting last pick. So green was pretty open in the end there. It took us a while to find it. And now, man, we've got a mess of a deck building.
I'm actually curious, like, do we have playables though? Like, do we have enough to make a deck? Cut the other colors.
So just starting off by cutting let's start by cutting all the white and black cards, just out of curiosity to see what happens with our deck. We do have 2 copies of Thirsting Roots, so we are actually pretty well set to splash if we wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and we have the Cultivator, which will let us get extra if we want to double spell off.
Plus Contagious Vorax, which those things are pretty good at digging for lands too. Revealing the top 4 cards and getting a land, then rest on the bottom. That's solid. Although honestly, just looking at our deck, I don't hate it.
Yeah,
it's a little weak in the early turns, but
it's a little weak early. We're looking at 6 cuts at the moment. Once we got rid of all the extra colors,
I think we can cut a creature and then a bunch of non-creature spells. Because besides that, we want stuff with oil.
I would probably start with one of the Ribs gifts. I don't think we want both of them.
Oh yeah. Maybe those are a little
because they replace themselves, but it's essentially a 4-mana cantrip if you can't crew it, right? So, and we have a couple of Vorax. We do have a couple of ways to get creatures on the board early enough to crew it, but crew 3 is tough, and I don't think we want to be tapping our creatures to crew a creature that then also can't block.
Mm-hmm. I think I'd like to. Man, the question is: are we trying to just kill them as fast as possible, or grind out into the late game a little bit?
I don't think we have the for lack of a better phrase, the equipment to. I don't mean equipment.
Now
in terms
you want
of the card
equipment
type.
deck. Now we try the equipment deck.
Not equipment in terms of the card type. I don't think we are equipped to do the aggro thing early in the game. We just don't have enough low. Like our curve is not low enough, and the creatures we have at the lower end of the curve aren't that aggressive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to be honest, I don't think we could have wound up in a better deck. I think we made the correct decisions. We didn't know we were going to keep opening like random for Mirrodin rares. And to be honest, those cards weren't flowing that much either. Like some solid red stuff came around, but do I think the red-white deck would have been that much better than this one? Not really. Like we still weren't.
And that kind of tells me that's kind of like what I'm getting at with, I don't think that vector is that good. We opened a bunch of rares that are good for that vector. And even still with this sort of random deck we kind of just scraped together feels, and maybe it won't actually play out that way, but it feels like it's on par with what we would have drafted if we did equipment.
And to be fair, we did pass like those 2 rare 2-drops. So our deck would have looked a little better curve-wise if we had them. I think we can start making some top-end cuts here. We don't need 5 of these things. We can cut a Molten Rebuke. We're pretty solid on removal. We got a few things. We actually have a 3-mana deal 5 as well. So we have 2 Furnace Striders and an Oil Gorger. I think I like the 5-mana 4/5 haste that can then give something else haste, and it has oil to cheapen the Cinder Slash Ravager. I think we're going to cut the Oil Gorger Troll. And then we have 3 more cuts to make. We have 2 Thirsting Roots here. So we could go down to one of those, and I guess we could go down a land if we really wanted to, but...
Well, remember too, we're playing I guess we're not looking to splash anymore either. I don't know that we care about having the Prophetic Prism in that case.
Yeah, that's true. It's not super useful as a cantrip. Honestly, maybe just cutting that Thirsting Roots, and then that leaves us with... I don't know, dude, I think we got a deck.
Yeah, this actually seems solid, and it turns out after cuts we have an actual curve. We don't have a ton of creatures on the lower end, like in the 2-drop slot. We've only got 3, I think. But
yeah.
And then we've got two 1-drop creatures as well. So it's enough to kind of put something on the board early. Any game where we're playing a turn 1 evolving adaptive is just going to be phenomenal.
Basically, if we're on the play, I think this deck is pretty good. If we're in the draw, I think we just lose. Now, it depends on the speed of the format, and there's ways for this deck to recover. Like, there's a few things that can put oil on themselves. Not as many as I would have liked, to be honest. But
that's part of why I'm actually thinking. Well, Yeah, so my thought process was that maybe the Oil Gorger Troll is worth keeping because it gains you that life, and that does help stabilize a bit against the decks that aren't trying to kill you with poison counters. But the 4/5s also kind of stabilize because they block it very well, and
Yeah, and I do like that they can just come in and attack immediately, and then also potentially give something like a Cinder Slash Ravager haste, right? Like even just this deck wants to hit exactly 5 lands. Play a Furnace Strider next, like give it haste attack. Next turn, play a Cinder Slash Ravager, give it haste and attack with that thing too. Like this thing will close the game out very quickly. But we're trading off that we just didn't really get as many 2-drops as we would have wanted, and then we could have cut these things like the Furnace Striders, right? So I think this is a 17 lander for sure. And I do like having the Rustvine Cultivator. We have a solid number of cantrips. So let's just run up the curve real quick one last time. We've got Furnace Skullbomb and Maze Skullbomb, Evolving Adaptive, and Rustvine Cultivator at 1. We've got Blazing Crescendo, Shrapnel Slinger, 2 Predation Stewards, 2 Ruthless Predation. Wow, we're going to be doing a lot of predating. A Titanic Growth as well. There's a Furnace Punisher at 3, Rebel Salvo, the deal 5, Volt Charge, the deal 3, and 2 Contagious Vorax. At 4, we've got Chimney Rabble, Lattice Blade Mantis, Ribskiff. At 5, we've got 2 copies of Furnace Strider. 6, we've got 2 Cinder Slash Ravagers. And then for our lands, we're going to go, I think we're looking at, honestly, just an 8 mountain, 8 forest. Well, we'll take out 1 for the Hunter Maze. So it's going to be 8 mountain, 7 forest, Hunter Maze, and a Terramorphic Expanse. So 8 of each colored source and a Terramorphic Expanse. This is not an exciting deck, but like I'll win a few games with this.
Yeah, where do you put this in terms of like number of wins? Like where do you think you get 4-3?
Yeah, if I 3-3 with this, I think I'll be pretty happy, especially because it's the new format. It seems like other people were saying, man, their first drafts are not going too hot. Maybe this is like a bomb intense format. But then again, so is VOW, and VOW is one of my favorite formats of all time. So I don't know. We'll see how this one shakes out, but I'll be sure to post my record once I've got it.
Yeah, and if you're listening on Spotify, you should be able to just watch the whole draft. So, check that out there. If you're not listening on Spotify, we'll have the draft video up on YouTube about a day or so after the episode releases on your podcast platforms of choice. That does it for us this week. Thank you so much for listening. Definitely jump in the Discord. We'd love to hear what you're thinking of All Will Be One as this format kind of develops and we learn more about how it plays out. What are you finding is working? What are you finding isn't working? Let us know, especially from a rare perspective. We don't always get to play with all the rares too early in the format, so love to hear how those perform. And if you'd like to support the show directly, you can do so on Patreon at patreon.com/draftchaffpod. Then you can find us on Twitter at draftchaffpod as well. Thanks, folks, and we'll catch you next week. Enjoy All Will Be One.
So those that follow the Draft Chaff podcast on Twitter may have spotted a certain poll. Now, I put this poll out because I figured we should probably get the ball rolling on the discourse around this set early so we can get it over with and actually have fun. I asked about the Eternal Wanderer, which is a good card. I think we all know this just by looking at it. But I asked, relative to their limited formats, how does it compare to Dream Trawler? Now, you listening, I want you to pause for a minute. Think about this. Those that played in Theros Beyond Death, you know that sometimes you would play against Dream Trawler, and it got to the point where if my opponent cast it, I would just scoop, because you really could not beat a resolved Dream Trawler. That there were maybe like some corner cases, some niche ways to do it if your opponent maybe didn't keep a card up in hand, but really anyone with, a couple brain cells could win a game if they resolved the Dream Trawler, right? So here's the question. Is it better than Dream Trawler? Is it the same as Dream Trawler? Or is it worse than Dream Trawler respective to its format? 231 people weighed in, and the answer may surprise you.
Doctors hate this one trick.
Yeah, it's called paying 6 mana for a rare. So let's see here. 32% of responders said that this is a worse card than Dream Trawler, that Dream Trawler is the better of the two. Interesting. 23% said that it's about the same as Dream Trawler, and a whopping 45% of responders said that this card is better than Dream Trawler.
That, again, respective to the formats.
Yeah, but still, that Dream Trawler was a scoop on cast type of card. Like, that was not unreasonable at all.
Yeah, the Eternal Wanderer is not really that. And we talked a lot about this in our pre-show, so definitely check out the Patreon if you want to get into the pre-shows. So I won't go into this too far, but the Eternal Wanderer isn't exactly scoop on cast, but it can be.
Yeah.
And it's very, very flexible. So I think the only reason that it's not, I would say it's not as bad as Dream Trawler was, is that there is a ton of Planeswalker removal. So even if they get to stabilize, even if they get to get an activation out of it, you likely will have the resources to get rid of it the next turn or two. And if it sticks around any more than a turn, really, then I put this basically on par with Dream Trawler. But
yeah, I'd agree with that. Thing is, it might be equally demoralizing to play against, but as far as their overall win rates in the format, I don't know if it's going to be better than Dream Trawler. I want to wait and see how it shakes out.